This video is sponsored by Loot Crate, the monthly subscription box service for epic geek and gamer items and pop culture gear.
Yep, just another day at the office. Zombie go boom here. Nothing to see. Just blood all over the place. I got hit in the head with a saw blade.
And now, oh!
No big deal. Happens all the time, right? It's okay. I'll live. Not crying.
The problem I'm having with crashes is, look, so this is the medium shot, right?
Yeah.
If I crash out,
That's okay. Whenever it starts wrapping around his elbow,
Whenever I do this.
Start this, that. At that, I'll time it. Ready? Go elbow. And now. Oh! Oh! Are you bleeding?
Probably. Oh shit.
Yep. You took a piece of skin off of your foot.
God damn it.
Alright.
Well,
You're almost done.
For what it's worth,
Last shot.
I got all of it.
Have you ever wondered what would happen if you mixed Mythbusters with The Walking Dead? We are Zombie Go Boom, filmmakers and zombie survival enthusiasts. Using our scientifically accurate zombie heads, we put retail weapons, homemade weapons, and everyday objects to the test in order to see what will save you during the zombie apocalypse. Survive, protect, and kick undead ass. Hey, what's up, survivors? Welcome to another mind-blowing episode from Zombie Go Boom. I'm Chuck Murray.
I'm Charles Foltz.
And today's episode is sponsored by Loot Crate. If you don't know what Loot Crate is, it's a monthly service where you get a monthly box with 6 to 8 items that are either exclusive collectibles or apparel items from different types of themes. The next one that's coming up is the anti-hero theme, and it's really awesome. It's going to have a lot of exclusives from Suicide Squad, Archer, but also Kill Bill. So we decided to make a Kill Bill special. This one right here is called a Meteor Hammer, and that is exactly what we're going to be testing today because that is the coolest weapon in Kill Bill Volume 1. We made this ourselves, and we're going to teach you how to do the same thing. Are you ready, Charles?
I'm always ready.
Let's do it.
Alright, we've got a saw blade, an eye bolt, a little piece of tubing, 3 washers, 3 nuts, a quick link, a length of chain, and a styrofoam sphere. Also, we've got this plasti dip. Alright, the first thing we need to do is cut this styrofoam ball in half. So I got this tiny little saw blade, so let's give it a shot. Alright, we found this screwdriver, so we're going to use it to make a hole in this half of this foam sphere, and then we're going to use it to make a hole in this half of the foam sphere. So we have a hole through both halves of the sphere, and so then we can insert the bolt.
And one note to tell you guys is that this foam may actually just look like crappy foam, but it's actually really compact and really tough.
Yeah, it's really dense stuff.
And the goal is that the foam itself is not the bludgeoning weapon, but that the blades that we're going to install are the things that are going to cause the destruction that we need to kill a zombie.
This thing right here.
Yeah.
But that's later on.
Yeah.
Basically, right now, I am putting this piece of tube in here, and it sort of acts as a spacer against this blade here because this threading on this bolt doesn't go all the way down, so we needed to figure out a way to keep the blade in the middle of this bolt without using nuts because the threading obviously doesn't go all the way down. So this tubing right here will hit the back side of this blade, and it'll fit onto this section of the eye bolt so that when we put it all together, nothing will move around and the blade will be secure and won't come off and kill anyone. Now this particular tubing I just cut from a piece of broken golf club that we had lying around, but you can use any kind of tubing that you can find, like metal or any other kind of plastic. And this particular one I think is carbon fiber. So that's what we're using. Alright, now that we've got the bolts and the washers on, we can put this other half of the sphere on. Then you put another washer on like that, and then you put another bolt on. Alright, now it's fully constructed all together. Now it's time to paint it. Alright, first we're going to do this plasti dip stuff. We're going to spray it on there so that there's like a coat, an even coat of rubber over the whole thing. And it's not actually going to get on the blade because there's still this plastic stuff over it. So after we spray it, we're going to take that crap off of there. Alright. Alright, we got about 9 coats of that plasti dip on this stuff. So it's probably good enough to start painting it now. So that's what we're going to do. Alright, the reason we use the plasti dip is because styrofoam melts when you paint it with spray paint. Okay, so we coated it with the plasti dip and now we're spray painting it to make it look like the one in the movie.
Consigliago onodogo oromodogo yala aragonogoro jichigago norogoya minilogola arodogoya mara ologera Charlie Brownson olagara yengirola olokonoroba aranyera konnichiwa consigliago oronogoroga oromoto rivergodoya shungudorogo arigato gozaimasu kundori barashka orodogoya aragena doraya Charlie Brownson oroge barashkundure yara orogodoga oromarka jujuskara Mr. Robato Orgato.
Well, as you can see, we already had an injury today. A little bit of the blade actually managed to catch Charles right on the forehead, and it took a piece of skin off, and there was a lot of blood and stuff, but he's okay. Obviously, it's definitely badass enough to do some cosmetic damage, so the skin analog is definitely going to go away, but it's badass enough to get through the cranium. That's exactly what we're going to be testing out now. But we're going to need a little more speed, a lot more leverage, and a lot more momentum and power in order to do that, which I'm pretty sure Charles can generate. But before we get started, I want to know, what is your plan of attack?
First, I'm going to do an overhead strike to the top of the head, and we'll see what that does.
All right, let's do it.
3, 2, 1.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Good hit. What did it do?
I feel breakage.
Really?
Yep. And blood.
Oh my god.
Got some blood on it.
Alright, so one strike had a lot of momentum. That blade went in and through the cranium and managed to do enough damage where I'm pretty much 50% to 60% sure that that's enough to kill a zombie. It's definitely enough to incapacitate a human being, probably kill him. And that's just from one hit. How's the weapon?
Perfect. Nothing wrong with it.
Alright, so you might have thought that the foam would just explode, but I'm telling you, this is actually really hardcore foam. It's very compact.
It's almost like wood.
Yeah, pretty much. So, let's do it again!
It's the blood.
Oh, sweet. Haha. Alright. So, skull, parietal bone, completely caved in. Caved in. Alright? And then the weapon, there's blood on it. Now, this was our third hit. We did a second hit, and the blade just didn't hit the head because this is a particularly difficult weapon to use. Obviously, it would have done some damage had this been metal or wood instead of foam, but really all it did is it pushed the foam to one side, and now it's a little bit compromised, but it's mostly aesthetically compromised because the way we built it, we made sure that that blade would stay fixed to where it needs to go, which means the third hit was still very strong and was able to just completely annihilate the zombie. This is absolutely a kill. I mean, the top of the head right there, parietal bone, mush. So, not overkill, but definitely Zombie Go Boom approved, especially if it continues to hold its shape. What did you think?
Very difficult weapon to use. I wouldn't go into battle with this weapon unless you've been using it for like 10 years or something like that. I've been doing Meteor Hammer and rope dart and stuff like that for about 10 years, and as you can see, you can still get hurt from these things. They're pretty dangerous. So if you plan on using these or making these, just be really careful.
Yeah, any chain weapon or rope weapon has a tendency to bounce, and you can't control where it's gonna bounce. I mean, you can get good at it, you can almost control it, but accidents happen, and these weapons are very, very unpredictable. I mean, they're cool because they generate a lot of momentum, but they're also very unpredictable. Now let me show you what this looks like. Oh god. So there's blood pulling out. Alright, so as you can see right there, thick ass parietal bone, it broke through it. There's blood just oozing out, and there is much of the skull that has actually caved in to the cranial cavity. I've said this before, but a lot of the damage that you get from weapons, whether it's cutting or bludgeoning, is the skull itself breaking and going into the cranial cavity. Another thing to note is that not only is the top of the head or the parietal bone compromised like crazy, like completely annihilated, but the break or the fracture went all the way down past the temporal bone, and that's why you see blood pulling out of the cheekbone. So there's some massive hemorrhaging going all the way down here due to a gigantic crack right there. So a lot of this head is definitely compromised.
All right, we're gonna do another strike. This time we're gonna do a horizontal strike to the side of the head. See what that does. Let's do it.
Alright, so something really curious happened. Essentially, Charles used too much chain or was too close, which again, the difficulty of the weapon, and instead of it hitting with the blade, it wrapped around the occipital bone, which is the bone in the back of your head. So essentially, that occipital bone was hit by just the chain, wrapping in with the help of the weight of the weapon, which is all of the metal here and the blade right there, and the chain hitting the occipital bone and wrapping around was enough to fracture the occipital bone incredibly badly. As you can see, we don't have any exterior blood, but the occipital bone is broken here, here, and all the way back here as well. So all of this is completely compromised. In fact, there was so much momentum to that particular strike that we have to reset this mount because it just took it right off of there, which takes a lot to do that. Now, another thing I want to mention is that there is some massive hemorrhaging all around this head. It's hard to even tell how many places are just compromised. There's hemorrhaging right here in the neck. You can definitely see some bruising through the skin. There's hemorrhaging right here around the temporal bone in this area. But what I found really cool is that there's some hemorrhaging around the orbit right here, and there's a little bit of a hole. We're gonna do another horizontal strike. Where are we going?
I'm gonna try to hit the temple area.
Yeah, and the temporal bone is still, it's still pretty strong. The blood you're seeing here is just from just the ridiculous amount of hemorrhaging that this head has sustained.
Let's do it. got a bleeder.
My God, if that weapon wasn't so difficult to use, it would be so awesome.
It would get the Zombie Go Boom overkill seal of destruction.
Probably, especially if we made it in such a way where we didn't have to use foam and it wasn't getting all, we weren't getting a lot of movement here. But other than that, it performed really well. Obviously, yeah, you gotta practice a lot. You gotta gauge your distances. It's not as easy as just striking the head. The cool thing about this weapon though is that if you overgauge your distance and you end up hitting your target with the chain, it's still gonna do a lot of damage because of the weight of it and the weight of the chain itself. This chain is pretty heavy. Remember, for less than $20 a month, you get 6 to 8 items that include licensed gear, apparel, collectibles, and unique one-of-a-kind items. You have until the 19th at 9 p.m. Pacific to subscribe and receive that month's crate, and when the cutoff happens, that's it, it's over. August's theme is the anti-hero. As Suicide Squad hits theaters, it's a perfect time to take a look at the not-so-good guys and unconventional protagonists with anti-hero. From bad guys doing good things for the wrong reasons to good guys with questionable tactics, August is the perfect time to explore the anti-hero. Loot Crate has 100% exclusive items from DC Comics, Archer, Dark Horse, and Kill Bill. Sign up for Loot Crate at lootcrate.com/zombiegoboom and enter code ZOMBIE to save 10% off any new subscription. Loot Crate has supported YouTubers since the company shipped its first crates. By supporting Loot Crate, you support our channel. Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode from Zombie Go Boom. Make sure you share, subscribe, and definitely punch the living crap out of that like button because that really helps. Also, check out Loot Crate. Again, 10% off if you use the code ZOMBIE at lootcrate.com/zombiegoboom. Now, let's talk about this weapon for a little bit. It's pretty damn good, but it's really difficult to use properly. Charles is kind of an expert on this weapon, and even he overgauged the weapon a bit every once in a while, and with a moving target it would be even more difficult. The cool thing about this weapon though is that it has a lot of weight. Even the chain has a lot of weight, which means that if you overgauge and you hit the target with just the chain, that's enough to do a hell of a lot of damage. So sadly it doesn't get the overkill seal of destruction, but it definitely gets the Zombie Go Boom seal of approval. Again, I hope you enjoyed that episode. Special thanks to Loot Crate. Please make sure you check out that link in the description below. If you help them out, they help us out, and everybody wins. Did you have fun?
I always have fun.
All right, with another mind-blowing one, I'm Chuck Murray.
I'm Charles Foltz.
And we'll see you next time.